Hey everyone, welcome to another Haze Reverb video, and in this one we got a new update with a new unit, a couple of new events, so let's go over those. First off, we got Franca Little Devil, which is the SSR version of Franca, and she's not a limited unit. Very important to note that. Let's talk about her skill kit, right? So her skill kit is basically she's a dotting unit, and she actually changes her targeting to the enemy. So think of her similar to Crim, where she's going to target the unit next in line after her, and then this is the range, right? It's going to go most of the row, depends where the unit's positioned. So if the unit's positioned, right on the edges, or right, then it should only target 3 squares, right? But if they're right in the middle, then it's going to go for the whole row. At least I'm fairly sure that's how it's going to work. And then she's going to apply a dot to them, which is going to deal damage based on their max HP, and then also scaling with her support power. And then she also has immunity to control, and then she also has a damage nullification barrier thing, which applies to one attack, right? And then so that gives you a bit of survivability, but it's only for one instance, right? And then she also will dispel resurrection effects on the enemies and also stop them from gaining resurrection. So I think technically she should be a counter to something like a Genia. But if people aren't running Genia and you're running her, then loses her effectiveness. Additionally, I think it's very difficult to slot her into a team because she's basically an offensive support that does damage over time, right? It's kind of weak in PvP where I feel like PvP is generally a lot more aggressive. If you're not one-shotting the enemy unit, then you lose a lot of momentum, right, in your turns. And for that reason, unless they have like a full dot team that has like a lot of support to do more damage than what I think it's gonna do, then yeah, I think it's gonna be very hard to run a dot team still. I like the idea of it, but I think it's kind of hard to pull off. Even in something like Cosmic Showdown, where you have two teams, right? When you have these unique units, even then, I don't know if you could really run a good dot team at the moment. Um, but if people want to try, then so be it. Now, my suggestion would be to skip her. At least I'm going to skip her. As much as I like the base skin, and then there's also a skin from the event. I think if I really want to grab her, I think I can just go for her on the custom banner, and then I might just pull her randomly, from the free standard banner pools that you'll get for certain events, or just pulling her off as like an off banner unit, while pulling something else. So I think that's something that could happen, and I just don't see any use for her right now, and I wouldn't build her. So for that reason, I'm probably going to skip it, especially because I'm kind of light on resources. I mean, I have a decent amount of crystals, but I want to save as many crystals as I can for the next Transcendent unit. And I don't have that many tickets and not enough shop points anyway. Shop points I'd rather save for a limited unit if I'm going to use those, right? So yeah, overall, I'd say probably a skip. I think Julius is still a skip as well, since both of them are not limited. And I think you can wait again for another week to see if there's anything else worth pulling for. Right now, if you really want the mini Julius, then go ahead as well. But keep in mind, you will be able to pick her on the standard ban as well later on. So that is Franca for the new unit. Then we also got the side story for Franca. Now, this side story is not your typical side story where you just sweep stages, gain currency, and all that, right? Well, you still sweep the stages, but you're going to be getting the gacha currency, right? Which is this one. And there's a prize list here. You'll be able to get like the story, right? So you unlock the story this way, and you'll probably want to pull for most of this stuff. Once you get the important stuff, like obviously the gold reverbs, the perfect cores, right? Um, then you can kind of skip it and go to the next one if you want to. But that's based on luck, right? So you have to pull this first to allow you to skip to the next one early. So if you haven't pulled it yet, then you'll have to keep pulling until you do get it. Most likely, on average, you'll probably have to clear out the whole thing. But if you are lucky enough to clear out, all the good stuff and the story ahead of time, then you can skip some of like the random chaff here, like that. That you can get very easily, right? You don't need these low-level core pieces. The shields, you can farm that, like, in the shield credit stage. Even like the XP and stuff is not just like stuff you could farm elsewhere, right? You do want things like the stamina potion, right? Because that's not farmable. I guess this currency is fine to grab as well, but it's not like urgent to get either. So yeah, just looking for like mostly the top stuff here, plus the stamina potion are the main things you need, and then you get a button to ask you if you want to go to the next one, and you can keep going until you've unlocked all the stages. Uh, this, Also, you will have to go through all the stages to unlock the skin, which is at the very end here. So that's the this one here, the outfit, Devil Bride in Training. You will be able to see it here. So I believe it's this skin. I'm fairly sure, at least, which looks pretty good. And yeah, these are the story stuff. And I'm not sure how to get all this stuff, but um, I guess that you should get it through just doing all this stuff, right? So that is the side story. Now there's also another new event which we haven't seen this one before, which is this amusement check-in thing, right? Check-in spot. So this will run for 4 weeks, basically a whole month, and there's dailies that you want to do. So it's stuff that you're going to do anyway. I think this trial stage is any stage because I didn't do 5 trial side story trials, right? So I think this is anything, and just you'll get it. And then 200 stamina, which if you're going to clear 200 stamina worth of stuff, you should be able to clear this, right? And then obviously a daily login. So these are the daily section. Then there's actual missions, right? So there's 3 different sections here. Most of it is basically just stuff that you would do normally, right? So you consume stamina here, clear combat stages, kill monsters, like that's all part of your daily routine. So you'll just complete this over time, right? So no need to like specifically rush for it. Just do what you normally do and you'll clear out like all this for the extra currency, and then there will be a shop here to spend the currency on, right? Now we haven't seen this yet, as a festive SSR selector. So what it is, I have no idea. It just says one driver from a limited pool, and I don't know who is in that limited pool. So what I will do is, once I get enough points to get this, I'll have a look into it and see what's worth pulling, and I'll let you know in a separate video. It'll probably be a very short video, but I'll give you like just a quick rundown on my recommendations of what to select. If you already know what you're going to select, then you don't need like my advice. But for those who are unsure, you can just hold off and wait until I release that. I'll try to get that out as soon as I can. Aside from that, like pretty much everything else here you're going to want to buy, and you'll probably afford all of that by the end of the event, as long as you're doing everything daily, right? So those are the main new events. Now, I wanted to go back and talk about Moon Abyss because I only barely touched on it last time because I hadn't started on it yet. But I have now completed it, and there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about, which might help people, right? Now, I think this rotation actually, it looks more difficult than usual, but it's actually easier, I think, than it usually is. Especially if you're just doing T80. If you're doing T99, it's probably going to be harder. But T80 is actually very comfy clear, and I actually just cleared it mostly with Morgan. But you probably will like to have one of the alternative nukers, so either Alvida or Swimsuit Mirai, to help you on stages where Morgan isn't usable. Like for example, on this one, you can't really use Morgan here, but you can use Swimsuit Mirai, right? So you just like swap in Mirai, and then change the target. The target is fine here. As long as you're hitting one of the guard units, she'll kill them, right? Alvida is not good here, unfortunately, because there's only one support, as all the way at the back here. So unless you can use like a targeting unit and force target the back unit. I think you can use Lifer to do that. I can't remember exactly which one it is. Just go check the SR units. Some of them will have like a marking ability, I think it's called actually. But yeah, they'll mark their target, right, when they attack it, and then that will make the next unit attack that same unit, right? That's how you would basically jump over, right? Alternatively, you could also sort of pre-plan it. Maybe I'm not. This stage wouldn't be the best example, but like let's just pretend I couldn't. Let's say I have Morgan, right, and I do want to do it on this stage. Now, there's a couple ways you can do it. Either you kill this guy and then allow the Morgan to jump and attack this one because she attacks second row, second unit in the row, right? Alternatively, you can kill these two units in front here, and that allows you to jump to the back here or the second row, right? So killing these two units is very simple. You just use Skadi, right, to do that. This unit, kill it with any single target DPS that hits the front row, right? Just do that. Then all you have to do then is also tank their first unit to act. So you just look at who is the first guard or assault type unit that's going to move, right? So let's see. So 1 is this heavy, it's not going to move. 2 is this one, right? So this one will move, but you have to be careful here because this one is actually a taunting unit. So it actually makes it a little bit more complicated to take out. So actually, I think it might be a bit more difficult to clear this with Morgan just because of that, right? So you might actually have to tank a couple of units and just sort of plan it out that way, right? So for example, here you have to remember that this guy's going to get attacked. So what you might actually do is kill this unit with the second unit to attack, right? And then that will allow you to jump to like either this unit or this unit, depending on how many you kill on this side, right? And then Morgan can basically splash onto like one of these back ones in the middle, right? So that would be how you'd sort of look at approaching these stages, right? So you might take a little bit of practice, but it's a good way to sort of teach yourself the combat mechanics of the game, right? So because you want to check out what these units do and how to basically pre-plan to work around that, which is basically the whole point of the game. So yeah, that is how to deal with stages. Now the main thing I want to talk about is the problematic units on these stages, because your nucleus will kill out most of these units. The only units that actually couldn't kill in one go is firstly these these parasites, right? So these units have, I think, very high mobility or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but they will survive, right? But because they are heavy type units, they're going to spend a whole round charging up, and any additional units you have will kill them off, right? So you could use like one nuker and then one additional unit that does some chip damage to kill them off. Otherwise, you can also plan around just tanking them, right? They hit the back line, right? And I don't think they do that much damage. The other more important one is going to be the dragon units, which are these ones here, right? So that's that one. Now, the description here doesn't seem to show it, but I know for a fact that these guys will have a damage absorption shield, right? So they'll negate the first attack on them before you can actually kill them. Now, there's a couple ways, or the main way to deal with this is just to purely just tank it, because they don't do that much damage. And the easiest way to both tank them and just kill them off is to tank them with Hawk. So I actually put, I mean, you could do this for most stages, but you don't necessarily need to do it on all of them, right? But it's more, I set it up to have all tanks at the back, just because sometimes there's stages where there's multiple of these dragons on different lanes, right? And that way, no matter who they attack, they will splash onto Flock, right? So if they're on this side, they'll target Farnese and then splash onto Flock, because their targeting is one above and one below, right? Like this. And when they attack the Flock and deal damage to her, well, first off, her shield is going to absorb it, and she's basically not going to take any damage. And secondly, she will reflect damage back to these and just kill them off. So it's a very quick way to just tank them and deal with them at the same time, right? I mean, alternatively, you could just kill them normally with other units, because they're pretty squishy out there. They're the first damage absorption. But yeah, this is another quick way you can deal with that if you want to. So these are the two units that you have to watch out for. I think there's not too many of these parasites. It's mostly these dragons. They actually spread out. Oh, they're in most stages actually. Some stages there might be 4 of them. There could be just as little as 1. Then there's occasionally 0. But yeah, those are the units that you have to watch out for. Aside from that, everything died to my nuclear units without too much issue. If you don't have Nay, right, then you can just run any other support that buffs damage. It's not a big deal. As long as you have Franca and either Maria, Maybell, or Tina, just use that to buff your main DPS or the main nuker, and you should be fine, right? Now, I'm going to show you my setup for the tiers if you want to copy it. So I just have to reset the stages. I just wanted to illustrate the units there. So I'm just going to go back. I'm going to reset and show you my setup. So for exactly 80 points, you can untick these ones, right? All four of these and this one. And if you've done all that, then you shouldn't have any issues as long as you have your max cores on your DPS and all that. You'll be fine, right? Because obviously I'm based off max cores. I'm not making like a budget team or anything like that. If you don't have the same units that I do, you can make do with alternatives, right? And you should be fine. If at the very worst, if you don't have the cores or anything like that, then just drop it down and just untick all the damage reduction stuff and just clear it sub 80. I just figured that I'll talk about this for some people who might have enough gear and stuff to do T80. It's a pretty good chance to get your clear and get the reward for clearing T80, which is the token thing here for the avatar, right? Or the badge thing, whatever it is in the shop. You need 3 of these, so good chance to get one of them. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about for this week. It's a little bit longer than usual, but mostly because I wanted to talk about the Moonibus stuff in here as well. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.